Oh, and we're live. Welcome to The Talk, the safe space where we dive into all sorts of conversations. I'll be your host for today. I go by the name Gamomoth, aka your absolute fave. And as usual, I am not alone. I'm joined today by the holistic therapist, Hakeem Anderson Nkuli Tleane, and Nkuli Tleane, who is a psychosocial therapist. And together we'll be tackling the 411 on therapy and life coaching. Welcome to The Talk, guys.
Hello.
Thank you. Come on. I know it's a very it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Thank you for having us.
Firstly, guys, feel free to share the live. Tell your sisters, your brothers, everybody to join the stream and be part of the conversation. Join our WhatsApp community. You can see the numbers over there. Send us your voice notes and everything because we really would like to hear from you. And obviously, we have the people, the experts to give you the tools that you guys need for mental health, in essence. That's what we can call it.
Yes.
So firstly, I'm so interested in the titles.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times we hear a thing and we want to run, like a psychosocial therapist. If I had to see someone like that, I'm like, no. So what does that exactly entail?
Yeah.
And can you please just also, let's define what therapy actually is.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, let me start with the title. The title psychosocial therapist is more about talking about psychology in the psycho, and then the social. How does your being or your the way of looking at things affect you, and then how does it affect you socially?
Okay.
Yeah, and then in terms of then the therapist, then it means that how do you work with that? Yeah.
Hakeem, holistic therapy.
Holistic therapy. Holistic therapy basically is how you perceive yourself in the world, right? Like helping you understand that perception and what it influences and what it affects, right? So how you perceive yourself, like the food you eat, the thoughts you think, you are the sum total of the thoughts you think every single day of your life. So you become exactly what you've been thinking about, what you've been feeling about, because thoughts influence feelings, feelings influence actions, right? Choices then actions, right? So like it's a holistic look at your life, your well-being. Are you focused on wellness, or have you been abrasive towards yourself and your environment? So just helping you heal that, helping you heal yourself and your inner child as well, so you can function greatly in the world.
And so before we jump into the entire 411, we're going to be joined by, via Zoom, by Timera Ramlal. So can we please get her on the line? She's like, hi, Timera.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks, and you. Welcome to The Talk.
Thank you for having me. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Okay.
Fantastic. So there's this, as people of color, there's this thing, this attitude we have towards, therapy, and we avoid it. Why do you think that is with Black South Africans?
I think if I can jump in, it's not just Black South Africans, because I'm working with Africans in terms of the whole continent. It's because we grew up mostly spiritual, mostly we grew up communal in terms of umuntu ngabantu. Therefore, we take that further to actually say my thing is a thing of everyone. So it's not just what I'm struggling with. So it's something that is a struggle for. Then how do I speak to other people about that? Then if I speak to someone, then because we know only maybe a few methods of coping, therefore we'll say, maybe did you pray about it? Did you see someone about, like, in terms of seeing someone in terms of therapy, because also we grow up, because therapy in itself, when you look at it, it's more like a Western thing, but also because it's more of that, then it's difficult for someone to actually say, we have been also always done these things on our own as a community. Therefore, now how do I trust someone else who's coming with a Western concept? Whereas, which is easier for someone who is, if I am Black, to see someone who is black, because then that person is understanding of where you come from, of who you are, of as a holistic. Unlike if I go to a white person, they might understand of what I'm going through, but not in a cultural, because remember there's religion, there's cultural, there's all that that is encompassing
the entire
us.
spectrum.
Yes.
And just okay, Timera, you're a life coach, right?
Yes, I am.
Yes, and you're part of the Indian culture.
Yeah, I am Indian, so I'm in the culture.
Oh, okay. I just wanted the audience to know why you've joined us. So they're the therapist, and you're the life coach, and we'll touch on that now. But there's something very important that you said in terms of culture and pray about it, and we also know phrases like Indodai Kali, and pray about it. We hear that a lot. I always find myself very frustrated when I'm in conversations, and the thing is, just pray about it, it will go away.
Yeah.
Right? In your professional capacity, Hakeem, do you think institutions like church or going to a traditional healer are a viable means of healing, first of all, and more than anything, recognizing the problem? Because even GPs, about 33 to 50% of GPs miss the diagnosis of depressive disorders.
Yeah. In terms of diagnosing or coming down to a diagnosis, you wouldn't go to a plumber to give you a heart surgery, right? So you wouldn't go to the church to diagnose what's happening in your mind and what's happening in your life, right? You need to be very intentional with who you go to get that diagnosis, or to get advice on what to do, or to get strategies and tools and resources on what you need to do to better your life, right? So you can't really rely on your friends. I know that's a question that's coming up. You can't really rely on your friends. They're not your therapists. And if they were your therapists, then you need to start paying your friends. You need to start paying them those fares. You need to really do that, right? If you cannot go to, your doctor cannot diagnose your mental health. They're there for your body. Right? Your pastor is there for your spirit. So we need to put things in their proper context, right? So if the old understanding of what therapy is we know it's a lie. We know it's a lie. It's based on stereotypes. It's based on fear, right? And people only fear something when they don't understand it. And people don't have an understanding because there's no education. So the question we need to be asking is, how can we filter education on therapy, the right type of therapy for the right type of conditions, to different people in our communities, in our societies, in our tribes, in our cultures, wherever it is that we are in our environment? How can we filter this information out to people so they know where to go?
Timera, maybe you can jump in on this one as well. So you're saying that the right thing is to ask, how do we get the message across? How do we educate, right? Do you think outside of the therapy and life coaching, there are other means or platforms maybe that we need to be engaging in, like open dialogue, for instance? Because for me, that's how I found out about a lot of things. The more people chat is the more then I was like, oh, okay, this and this. But to what extent and how? Where do we begin?
So the question is, if you just rephrase the question, because there's so much, that is a very loaded question. So you could just rephrase it.
Okay. So what I'm asking is, where do we begin to heal?
Okay, I think that instead of just jumping straight away into, going to a therapist, if you could take the time to reflect on what exactly is bothering you, I think that is step one. And you can actually do that in the privacy of your own home. It doesn't cost you anything. A lot of the women that I coach, the initial step is I say, I'm really happy that you're seeking help, but before you come through, if you could just take a pen and paper and just maybe write out like a journal, what is bothering you or how you're feeling. And it's amazing that when you write, or even when you speak to a friend objectively, you hear what issues that may be bothering you and you gain clarity. So for me, the step one is go onto YouTube. There is so much on YouTube that's free. There are therapists like watching this show right now. It's free. It's a beautiful resource. But I think clarity is so important. Like, it costs you nothing to take a pen and paper and just write.
You know, she's saying just right. Understand what you're feeling.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've created safe enough spaces for us to understand what we're feeling, because we're taught to suppress the entire time, especially for males. Like the notion of boys don't cry.
Yes.
And I think that's why we're sitting with high numbers of GBV to begin with. So I completely hear you, but then even in my writing, how do I recognize it? Because I don't know what it is. And it goes back to what you're saying, which is the education aspect of it, you know? And I think it's also fueled by a lot of we don't know, and so misconceptions. So in your guys' professional, capacity, what are some of the misconceptions that you guys have come across? Let's help demystify them for our audience.
I like that, because I think you touch on a nice point where you say we don't give ourselves time to feel, and that's important, because if I give myself time, I'm not scared. I think now it's wonderful. I'm saying wonderful in this context of it's wonderful that we are going through this pandemic, where it forces us to actually sit on our own. It forces us not to be all over, because most of the time we go from this place to that place. Then I don't have time to sit at home to actually understand what I'm feeling, and reflect on what I'm feeling. And therefore we always jump to actually say, oh, okay, I'm sad. But you know what? I can go out and go drink with my friends. But before we can go there, what am I feeling? How am I thinking that has affected me as a person? And therefore sit with that, because as Hakeem said, that we don't go to our friends for that. Yes, we talk to our friends in terms of how I'm feeling and but a friend will also, in most cases, will say, Nami Chomi, when Ubani Bani dumped me, this is how I felt, Therefore, you need someone who will have that concept and understand, Uguti, we're not saying in the context of therapy as a whole, to actually say, Guzolunga, or things will get better. We let the feelings first. You need to understand, how are you feeling? You're disappointed, you hurt, you all of those things. Yes, they will pass in time, but give themselves time, because as much as you give yourself time to be happy, I think as people we like to be happy and dwell on that, but we don't want to dwell on the sadness. We don't want to dwell on the hurt. So we need to be, as much as we give equal time to that, we need to give the equal time to the other uncomfortable feelings.
Another thing is, I think we really need to adopt a different way of handling the sadness, or handling the loneliness, or handling our alone. We need to really relook at all of those things. When things go awry or wrong, and I put wrong in inverted commas, when you start feeling bad, or you start feeling sad, or you start feeling lonely, or you start feeling depressed, like we were talking in the break room, we throw the word "I'm depressed" or "I've been feeling depressed" around too loosely. But when you start feeling those feelings, understand that those feelings come from somewhere. They come from a long time of you staying in the same position and not moving. Right? Like you can't say, and I'll make a very loose example. You can't say, I want a better life, and still do what you've been doing that has ended you in this life that is not better, that is not the betterment that you want. So for you to get a better life, you have to do different things and approach life a different way. Similar with therapy. For you to get better mental health, optimal mental health, you have to talk to someone who understands exactly what you're going through, can frame things for you in a proper light, and help you with the tools and the resources, right? So you don't constantly revolve in that sadness. And that sadness is there for a reason. It's very important. Those feelings are very important. And the only way to get through those feelings is not doing what we've been doing by sweeping them under the rug, or going to drink, or going to smoke, or smoking weed, or picking up a drug here and there. Literally, we're going through like a drug pandemic as well, and it's silent, where people are self-medicating at home, you know what I mean, to numb the pain. But for you to get to a point where you start numbing the pain, whether it be with company, because as a friend, you are part of the distraction. You're distracting me from dealing with my alone, dealing with my sadness, right? So sit in it. Sit in the stare until you settle. right? Once you sit in the stand and you settle, then you start getting clarity as to how you got here. The only way through it is to get through it and be through with it. You go through it until you're through going through it, and you be through with it. You're done with it. But you move on to the next level of your life by really focusing on what's happening right here and right now.
Timera?
Yes.
And for you with the life coaching, because also just for our audience, I think it's important for us to understand the difference between life coaching and therapy. So can you tackle that for us before you jump into the misconceptions you've come across?
Okay, so I studied psychology up to my honors level, and then I took it through the NLP, which is Neuro-Linguistic Programming route. So I do have a background in psychology and all of that, but I've kind of shaped my therapy in a way that it's more about creating a safe space where you are heard, and I ask the correct questions to help you understand and gain clarity. So it's more about asking questions so that the client can reveal themselves to themselves. So that's more of what a life coach is. And it's, a life coach can do anything from assist you with repressed issues to just generally giving you clarity on your goals or where you're at right now. So you don't have to have an actual problem. It's just a safe space for you to express yourself. Yeah.
Okay.
And
sorry, continue.
no, I think your second part of the question was,
It was
the
the misconceptions you've come across, so that we can just demystify them for our people.
Yes, I think for me and what I've experienced, I focus a lot on women and women of color. And I think for me, it's been the big issue about what vulnerability means. A lot of people think being vulnerable means to be weak, but it's actually the opposite. To be vulnerable shows so much strength for you to be accountable for your feelings, for you to bring it forth and not just kind of go through life in a loop or like a robot. It's a very admirable thing to be vulnerable. And then another thing is bravery. Like, I think a lot of people think it's brave to not ask for help, when in actual fact, it is brave. The bravest thing you can do is ask for help. That is very brave. And I think for me, the misconception is on those two ideas of what it is to be brave and what it is to be vulnerable.
I agree, 100%.
Definitely.
100%. We've got a question from Yanin Jabulo, so we're just going to take that, and then you guys can answer and assist. Do you know when someone close to you needs therapy? I think my girlfriend is depressed, but she won't go see someone. She says she is fine, but she's not acting like herself. She's always angry and sad, saying she wants to die. What should I do? Nkuli?
Yeah, and number one, I think it's good for Njabulo to see that, I mean, my girlfriend is not well. So, which is wonderful, because then you have someone who can support you going through that. But to actually say that, I think I always use this example of, if for instance your leg is broken, would you continue to walk on your leg? You understand? So Njabulo, that's that's where he will need to start, or she will need to start, to actually say, if you are having a broken leg, would you continue to walk? And if not, therefore, where do you go? I go to the doctor to put on a cast. Yeah? Yes. Okay, fine. So now, if you are not well in terms of emotional, so then you need to go to someone who will help you in terms of emotional, because sometimes then it means that sometimes we see the physical, because we see the physical, we're thinking the physical is not, the emotional is not as important as the physical. If we are saying the physical is important, therefore we are saying the emotion, because the emotion is the one that will carry this body to walk. So if you are not emotionally okay, then it means you need to see someone who will help you to understand your emotion. Because it's not because you are not well, or you are crazy, or you are whatever the misconception is about going to therapy. It's about recognizing that I am not okay today to carry my body forward. Because sometimes if you are feeling like that, then you can't wake up, or you can't even eat, or or you can't sleep, or all those things that you need to recognize, and also to actually help someone to get someone who will help you to understand those feelings for yourself. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to extend further because you mentioned something so important that when you don't feel good on the inside, it starts to manifest physically. And I think a lot of times then only we want to say, oh my gosh, I've lost so much weight, something is wrong with me. But we'll be right back. Do not go anywhere. In the meantime, please do share so that everybody can be part of the conversation, a very important conversation that is.
This is what you missed on this week's episode of The Talk.
So, I was in this relationship and I went in purely because I was really in love. This was my best friend. And I noticed that he wanted to be a provider in the traditional sense that we know, that I wasn't asking him for anything.
Okay.
He was offering and I was still rejecting, and then he would find very tricky ways to get money into my wallet.
I didn't go to parties. I didn't go from one event to the next. I was a no-show at most of the stuff. I was that girl who got you Friday, who else who get a Friday ka 6 gitima phone karavan. Men are equally pressuring themselves to be providers because for them it's an ego competition.
It is.
You understand? So a man who says, I did X for my ex. I did 1, 2, 3 for my ex, so therefore I can double up.
Gain some perspective with The Talk airing Tuesdays only on Palm TV, your #1 social media TV network. This is what you missed.
Welcome back to The Talk, the safe space for diving into all sorts of conversations. If you've just joined us, we're talking about the 411 on therapy and, of course, life coaching. And I'm joined by Nkuli Tleane, who is a psychosocial therapist and holistic therapist, Hakeem Anderson Nkuli Tleane. And, of course, via Zoom, we have the life coach, Timera. Timera? I'm saying it right? Sorry? Yeah, Timera Ramlal.
That's perfect. Thank you. That's it.
Yes. So I have a comment here from the socials, and so I'm just going to read it for us. What a necessary conversation you guys are having. It's great to see the great Hakeem Anderson Nkuli Tleane there. What a gentleman.
Thank you.
So that one's obviously for you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And then there's another one. Mandla says, I love this topic. Black people need healing. We go through so much trauma every day, but we want to be strong. Strong for who? Can I get the other comments? Pear says, my life is a mess, but I don't think I need medication. I just need help fixing myself. I always say I'm going to do stuff and I end up dropping the ball. It's very depressing, but I'm not suicidal or anything like that. What do I do? I'm going to extend on Pear's thing. Because a lot of times we feel the feelings, right? And because we don't understand them and we don't have an outlet for them, we start feeling like we want to die. Would you say when you get to that point, you can take that as a red flag to say, okay, I need to see someone? Because remember, I said we don't know what it is. So then how can we know when to act?
Yeah. So we need to start looking at how we react and respond to things when they don't go our way. Mm-hmm. You have to look at that. You have to be very aware of what your body does when you don't get a yes. When you're used to getting a yes and you get a no, how are you responding to that no? When you're used to getting by in life and things go awry, how did they get to that point, and how are you reacting to this point now where things aren't to your satisfaction or to your agreement or to your needs and wants in this particular time? So what Spear is saying is he feels like a failure almost every time he tries to do something great with his life, it messes out. But the question that I have for Spear is, do you have the tools? Do you have the skill? Do you have the community around you that's, the influence that you're getting from the community? What voices are in your head? Like, a lot of us were raised in very traumatic backgrounds, right? Like, I always say the village, the township, the city, the suburban area is traumatizing.
Yeah.
Right? In any way you are a black person or a person of color, you are raised in very traumatizing environments. The lives that we live are not normal by any they're not normal, guys. That's not normal. And we've, like, society has pushed us into this space. Just look at where we come from as black people anywhere in the world, as people of color anywhere in the world. Where is that normal? That's not normal. And so your body, your mind, your heart, your feelings, your emotions are going to react accordingly to the environment, right? And so the trauma comes from there. The depression comes from there. The anxiety comes from there. It's a natural response. And like, I just want to validate anyone and everyone who's ever been told that your mental, the weakness of your mental health is a disease. It's not a disease. Your body, your mind, your heart, your life is responding according to what the environment is attacking it to respond like. It's influencing it to attack like. So I just wanna validate you right now. You're not sick.
Yeah.
You're not sick, but you do need to see someone who's got the tools, who can equip you with the right kind of direction to take. Like Uspe just needs a certain skill and he needs to master it. But first you need to, for every man that's out here or every woman that's listening to this, master your boredom. You know what I mean? Like sit well in your boredom. Be bored, but in that boredom, develop yourself. Self-educate. Get the right kind of skills and soft skills and qualifications that are going to get you. I know for a lot of men, we struggle with money because our identity and worth and value is wrapped around money, right?
Yes.
So when you don't have money, you don't feel like you're valuable and you don't feel like you're bringing anything to the table. For you to bring anything to the table, for you to come with the table, as the table, on the table, right? Just fix the skill. Just master one skill that you can monetize. And once you monetize the skill, then when you learn something new, you have to kind of rewire your understanding. So if you can rewire your understanding of something, then you can rewire your understanding of yourself, right? Everything is interlinked. So if you can rewire how I understand a math equation, then I can rewire how I understand how I approach things, right? Because if a math equation
but you have to
doesn't
be
add
willing
up,
to.
You have to be willing to do that. First and foremost, you have to be like, when you come to a therapist, be ready. Be ready to abscond or abandon your old normal.
Yeah.
Because you're where you are because you've been, like we said in the break room again, you're where you are because you've been functioning in a way that you're in survival mode. But when you come to a therapist, you're now saying, I want to live. I actually want to stop surviving and I actually want to live. So you're going to get tools, resources, and skill sets that are going to equip you with the mindset as well, mindset shift, a growth mindset that's going to propel you to the actual life that you want. But you have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to get out of your comfort zones. Like abandon comfort completely abandon the comfort and live in the boring, mundane, rudimentary things, fundamental things that you need to do to master. It takes you 3 months, 66 days. Right? Like, I know you guys have heard of 21 days. It takes you 21 days to know what a habit is.
Yeah. 66
days to crystallize it, normalize it, and ritualize yourself into that habit so you can use it every single day of your life. So if you just bow your head down, man, like just look down, and don't have the squirrel syndrome. Like, a squirrel is attracted to anything and everything. Like everything that flashes, a squirrel is going to go there. Stop doing that. And we do that a
panic
lot.
Mode. I think because we're in panic.
Yeah, in panic.
And I think we panic because the world has made us feel like it's not okay to backslide. So yes, I've gotten rid of the habit, but now I made an oopsie, and then now you go sulk because we're hard on ourselves because the outside is hot, but it's okay to drop the ball. Just pick it up again.
Here's the thing. We need to stop blaming everything external to ourselves because we're the ones that make the decisions at the end of the day. We need to stop blaming everyone. Like your ex hurt you, yes, in their behavior. That's
drag me, Hakeem, drag me.
But you cannot keep doing the same harmful things to yourself because your ex hurt you.
Yes.
After the fact of them hurting you, you start deciding. You start deciding for yourself how you're going to live, how you're going to behave, how you're going to react, how you're going to respond, how you're going to go about in life. That's your decision. And we have to be accountable to ourselves fully. We have to fully be accountable to ourselves, our actions, our behaviors, the way we look at things and the way we look at ourselves in the context of the world at large and our world personally, and how safe we feel inside of ourselves. We don't feel safe inside of ourselves. That's why I'm reacting this way to Xoliswa. Like she hurt me, so I'm going to react this way. I don't feel safe in my skin. But if I was confident in my skin, if I felt safe in my skin, I'd be like, that is on you. That has nothing to do with me.
Adios, muchachos.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that confidence that you get in knowing who you are and how you are and knowing how to regulate yourself as well and getting yourself out of that shock state and that disappointment and not defining yourself based on a disappointment. It's just a small event. When you zoom out completely, and you actually have perspective on your life, it's a small event. It's very small. It's crucial. It's very crucial in your life in teaching you, oh, you didn't look at this type of behavior that led to them cheating, or them treating you a certain way, or them talking to you a certain way, or them slapping you up. You didn't look at that and you didn't say, this is not my portion.
Yeah.
This is not what my rib would do. Right? So we need to start looking at ourselves and how we behave and what we let go, and our silence as well. We're very silent, and our silence is very complicit in how the world is going to treat us. You know? So the external is going to act however way you teach it to act.
The external.
You know, the external is going to act however way you allow it to act. But once you have
I always
boundaries,
say you set the tone.
You set the tone completely.
All the time.
Completely. The boundaries you don't have are going to show you life.
Woo, I felt that in my soul. And Hakeem, you know, I'm going to take advantage of this specific moment, and it's about the boy child.
Yeah.
Because yes, men grow up, and then there's also, I think there's a notion of it's too late. I'm already set in my ways, right? Do you think we need to go back to the basics of how we raise our boy children, the socialization of the boy child? Like what's your take on that? How we socialize our boys and then expect them to do better, but how sway?
Yeah. So in that statement, it's too late, I'm set in my ways. That's a decision.
A man said that to me, by the way.
That's a decision.
A 36-year-old man said, you gotta take this because...
Do you understand? Do you understand that that's a decision? That's a decision that he's making, right? That he's making in this moment. I will not better myself because this benefits me. This, whatever it is that I'm doing right now, it yields greatly for me, and so I'm comfortable in it, right? You're then responsible for saying, am I good with what's being presented to me, or is there better for me, or do I deserve better, right? That's your decision, right? So people will always tell you who they are, what they are, and how they are, always, right? Going back to the boy child, however, Mama taught the community, the black community, raises girl children, but tolerate and love black boys. We tolerate and love black boys, meaning that they have free will to do whatever they want to do when they come of age. Even before they come of age, they can talk to you however way they talk to you. But a girl child will be reared. You'll be taught how to take care of yourself, how to take care of a house, how to budget. You'll be taught all these things, and it will be enforced on you. Right? It'll be enforced on you, and you will feel the weight of your parents' hand on you anywhere,
even when you leave home.
Go. Even when you leave home, you feel that hand. Boy children don't, and so if you don't, in Setswana, le rojwa le salimit, right? Like you do not, when you spare your child the rod, and the rod isn't necessarily hitting your child, it's how you talk to them, it's how you teach them things, and it's how you communicate things to them. Right? It's how you communicate things to a child to have them understand. You want to break down 39-year-old Hakeem's concepts to an 8-year-old child. I have to be in my child's life to know what they want, to know exactly what they want. And for me, that allows me to know, that allows me the knowledge on how I need to show up in my child's life. Right? Anyone, whether you're a grandmother, you're a mother, you're an aunt, you're an uncle, or you're the taxi driver, you have to be adept to this child's life. Boy children leave the house and they go be led out there. They're looking for leadership. They're looking for authority. They're looking for something to be accountable to. Look at all the boy children that smoke nyaupe. They just want to be led somewhere. They just want to be spoken to in a certain way. Look at all the boys who become drug dealers in the community. They want to be led, and they want this leadership is going to lead me to a certain type of life, a certain type of affluence, a certain type of ease that I need in my life. The influence in the family fails because we tolerate and love black boys. We love them enough to set them loose on the world without education, without rearing. And we need to go back, mothers and fathers, uncles and brothers, sisters and aunts. We need to go back to actually raising boy children. And I'm not saying have a heavy hand on a black boy. Have the same hand that you have on a girl child on the black boy too.
Keep the same energy.
Same energy.
Yeah.
But I think it's more the culture.
Yeah.
Where the culture that says if you are a boy, therefore we are so grateful to have you. Even as you are born, your
Yes.
welcome is a different welcome to a girl. Therefore, that sets a tone, as you said. That sets a tone to actually say, how do we treat you in terms of that? So in that, in terms of the spoiling, I think it's more the spoiling, that love that is over, that we don't understand, and the allowing, because we allow so much. Therefore, which is why children or men thereof later have I'll say a problem or challenges in when you say, no, I don't want you to treat me this way.
Yeah.
I don't want you to not come back late. I don't want you not putting effort.
I don't
to
want
me.
to give you
I
my
don't-
number.
I don't. But because now, then it's a shock to the system, to the boy or to the male, to actually say, whoa, why don't you want? Because I grew up in a space where it's allowed for me to feel this way. Therefore, for a girl, as you said, for a girl to actually say, you are not allowed to sit the way I'm sitting, because I'm a girl.
Yep. From home.
Get him. Yeah, but just so
Body language.
Body language. It tells us that. I mean, all those things that says for me. Then, therefore, I grow up knowing, which is why now, as we are grown, it's hard to actually understand each other in one space, because we grew up in one home, but with different sets of ideas, different sets of
rules
of
and
rules of
everything.
how to, so therefore it becomes harder, because if I don't understand my husband, I don't understand my partner, I don't even understand my brother, because also the men, their mind is actually actioning things, is to actually, if I say I don't feel well or I'm not okay, then
looking
they
for a
want
solution.
to action
a
the
solution.
solution
Yeah.
and whatever, and you're thinking, no, wait, you already in Baragwanath, come back, we're still here. Can we talk about my feelings first, and can we understand that, can we engage in that, which is where the dynamic now comes in to actually say. That's why maybe sometimes I feel like men, they say, we don't know what you want. It's because, and I get that.
Yeah.
I get it, because we haven't been in a space where we understand what we want in the same space, because conversations have been different. So our culture says that being a man, and also remember the patriarchy in itself,
Yes.
it tells the men that you are the best thing that ever happened, and therefore
God's
for
gift.
me, yes, and
You'll get your way.
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
like off the virtue of being a man,
Yeah.
you will get your way.
Yeah,
In
so-
life, in the world.
Exactly. So for me to actually say, actually, I recognize that, but this is not my portion. It's like, where would you go? Because this is the portion. So then it becomes a problem, which is why, in terms of the abuse, in terms of whether it's emotional abuse, physical, it becomes a problem, because I was told that stick to the devil, sit with Hakeem. Hakeem hasn't been good to me, but sit with him, because if you go out of Hakeem, Usipho will do the same. Usiso will do the same, because this is how, and we've seen that, whereby, and where I'm moving out of Hakeem's behavior and the way he treats me, I'm not okay. Therefore, I move to Usipho. Usipho does the same.
Yeah.
Therefore, I keep on, and then therefore comes that conversation that, but Ninabafaz, you want a lot from us. It's because the conversation hasn't been heard enough or to understood enough on how to coexist in one space with culture, with patriarchy, with feminism, with all these ideas.
And I feel as though the world has left black men, especially black men, behind. The world of black women has left black men behind in that. And classic case of the boy is tolerated and the black child, the girl child is raised, right? So and I understand equity and equality completely. It's super necessary, but you haven't taught the black man why it's necessary. He's never been taught why it's necessary. He doesn't even see a need for it right now. He doesn't. Most of the black men that I speak to don't see a need for equality, because what are you fixing? You still breaking the black family. You're still like of all the men that I've spoken to that are, you know, thought leaders and that are adept and that educate themselves and want to understand the world of women and where the world of women is and how they fit into that scope. The understanding, black men have to apologize. In a group of black men, they have to apologize for not factoring black women in that conversation of them healing. They have to apologize first. You understand? So we've left black men behind in addressing equality and equity, but a black man doesn't even know and understand what equity and equality he has. He doesn't even understand what patriarchy means. So when you talk to him about feminism, you are changing the way he lives. Never explain to him why feminism is necessary.
Or you hate men.
Or
that's
that you
the
hate
favorite.
Men. Like that's
the favorite
because
thing.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
It feels like it. Also, there's like toxicity in how our activism is very toxic as well. You know what I mean? Because you're black man, you are the enemy.
Yeah.
Right? There's how many millions of men in South Africa? How many millions of men in South Africa? And statistically, it's 90,000 men that abuse women. 900,000 men that are black men and run homes, who run foundations for young black girls, who do the same thing that black women do for young black girls, who raise other men's children. Do you understand? Like and we hold completely just throw black men under the bus, and we're saying women are up here and black men are down here. That's what we've done.
But you know why they do that?
Of course.
Right? For me, it's like the hashtag men are trash, right? It's not so much that all men are, right? But that even those that aren't do nothing to call out the brother.
And that's trashy
And that's
behavior.
where the concept of let's just throw everyone under there comes from, which is bad in its instance.
What doesn't sort out? And we're not solutions oriented. We still, again, the external. That we're still externalizing everything. Yes, there are men who abuse. Yes, there are men who perpetuate GBV. Yes, there are. We agree. What are the solutions, guys?
Talking about solutions, so, you know, what are some of the conversations and dialogues do you guys think need to be had in order to change the narrative that people of color have on mental health and obviously life coaching? Because there's a very big one, which was, I wanted to ask about it, money. People are like, but it's expensive.
Yes.
I can barely go to the normal doctor. It's a therapist.
Yes. Again, it's like Timera was saying, clarity. Like, so if you're clear about where you want to go, what you need to sort out, how you want to be, how you want to show up in the world. If you're clear about that, then you know, if a person wants change, they will get that change. They'll make it happen. If you want therapy, you will seek a therapist. You'll find a way of making it happen, right? And there's free therapy. There's open helplines. A lot of times people say therapy is expensive. Granted, it is. Yes, granted it is. But speak to a therapist. Do the discovery calls. Find out what packages they offer. Find out if there are payment arrangements that you can make. Find out if they have a subscription model that they're working with. Find out what the company is doing. You know what I mean? Find out if there is an incentives program that you can have. Find out if and for psychologists and therapists out there, like get these programs in your company. Get the programs in your company, because there are a lot of people that actually do need the help, that are actually serious about doing better with their lives, right? And then this person can help the next person, that can help the next person, that can help the next person when they're ready to. You know what I mean? So, but find out, like, don't just sit there and say, and hear your friends say, "Whoa, therapy is expensive. I talked to this one therapist and they charged me X amount." What did your friend need from the therapist? Because your needs and their needs are completely different. Just talk to someone.
Yeah, it's the truth. I mean, there's so much that is available to us in terms of affordability, and some are even free, the services. But as Hakeem said, speak to psychologists, go out there, do your own research and understand what is there. I always do, like, for instance, with my practice, I don't just see people one-on-one. I do workshops if maybe for 2 to 3 hours in that day. Then you come out having learned a lot. Then in that you are able to now practice some other skills that are there for you, not to just sit there and say, I'm fine in terms of walking around the way I feel. And also understand how can you, because it's not like, and also understanding in terms of, if I'm asking for help, it doesn't mean that I am not well. It means that I am weak. As Timera said, that it's always important to understand that in terms of the mental health as it is, it's important to understand that if I speak up, therefore I need something, because sometimes we'll say there's many things that are happening in people are suicidal, they cut, they burn themselves, they do things that are not healthy, but without knowing what not to do or what to do and what is going on with your life at the time, because sometimes a person might say, you know what, when they are in therapy, then they understand, you know what, I once had an idea of wanting to kill myself whenever. And then how did you overcome that? And then you find, because I believe people, we have the skill. It's just that we need to be reminded. We need to be reminded what we know. And we know it because that time in 1997, I always thought of killing myself. I used to cut, but I stopped. How did you stop? Because I always say, in a path, you know, like in a field, where we go in a field, if we go in hikes, so in a hike we can see a trail that people have walked here, but they didn't walk here one day. It was a path walking up and down to create that path. So in that, if we don't know how that path was created, then it becomes harder for you to understand. But if I know how I got over that, or how I healed that part of me, therefore I'm able to actually say, I once was in that space, therefore, sometimes, you know what, I've tried this method, now it's not working. How do I, then that's when you tap into therapy to actually say, you know what, I don't know how to cope now, or I don't know how to move forward now. I've done it before, but it doesn't seem like that skill is working, because remember, as we grow, things change. Things look like...
Also, the magnitude of the problems become different.
You understand? So all those things we need to be cognizant of and say, okay, fine. Now that I am here, how do I... Because also I was speaking earlier to Hakeem, and in terms of the stages of our lives. If, for instance, I was single, or a young girl who is just pretty going about my beautiful life, and then one day I meet this guy who is wonderful, we go about, and then this guy marries me. Now already I was once single, I'm now a married person. Later now I'm a mom. Now all those things that now you are, every day your plate becomes fuller. How do I, and also remember there's identity in all of these things that we are speaking about. You were Nkuli who is single, Nkuli who is now in a relationship, love lives here. Nkuli who is, today I'm not happy, the love doesn't live here. Tomorrow, Nkuli, tada, I'm engaged. All that, it changes you, you grow within that. How do I now, in terms of, you spoke about boundaries before, how do I have boundaries in that? So that is in terms of the mental health as in itself, to understand me and understand how it affects me and how I approach it, you know, and then that's where you start.
So I'm going to ask one more question, and it's just off script, and it's a personal one. Then we can do our closing comments for our viewers. So yes, you go speak to someone, and sometimes you get put on medication, right? Depending on also what the problem is, right? But there are also other things you can do. You'll often hear people say, exercising helps, you know. There are other outlets. Just for people sitting at home, what advice do you have for them in terms of other ways that you can help yourself outside of maybe the therapy? Because also I see you for 30 minutes, but I need to maintain on the days that I don't see, you know what I mean? And I had a cousin, like I said, this is a bit personal, and she had bipolar, and she was complaining constantly about her medication, saying that it makes her sick. But at the time, we didn't know about other channels of help, especially for holistic therapy? I think you guys dabble in that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I'd say the first thing, your diet. Please watch what you eat. Just please watch what you eat. Watch what you drink as well. Water. Like, water is the greatest thing. You're made of water. You know what I mean? So your body's obviously going to crave itself. You know?
Yeah.
Your body, your makeup is going to crave itself. So please check your diet, your sugar intake, your alcohol intake, your the things that you put in your body will affect you, the way you think, the way you feel as well. Please learn breath work. There's a channel on YouTube with Wim Hof. He teaches you how to regulate, how to, because our bodies are in dysregulation. We're in a constant state of shock, right? So the breath work teaches you how to regulate your nervous system, you know, how to activate your nervous system again. So understand what your nervous system is there for. Like, you have the vagus nerve, like the biggest collection of nerves in your body. It starts from your head all the way into your stomach, right? It goes numb. Constant shock on the vagus nerve makes it numb up. And once it's numb, it stops acting. That's why you'll go into low energy mode and you won't feel like coming to work, and you get depressed, and you start reacting in a very abrasive manner because your vagus nerve isn't activated. It's because you're not exercising, you're not eating right, you're not drinking enough water, you're not breathing right. I haven't seen anyone take a deep breath here at all since this interview started.
I get it. Also, postures. We keeping our postures. Come on.
No,
like,
even our postures, right? Like, even
we're just like,
your posture influences how you breathe. So our shallow breathing further dysregulates us. So going into your nervous system and understanding what it needs, understanding what your body needs, understanding what your mind needs. Exercise as well. And exercise isn't necessarily running in the morning or going to the gym. You could take walks. You could literally just and understand your energy levels, right? Again, going into exercise is understanding your energy levels. When in the day are you most productive? Are you productive in the morning, and then you come home, and then there's tea time? You come to work, and then there's tea time, and you, like, after tea time, you're very active because you were doing something in your tea time. Then there's lunch. After lunch, you might be super active for like an hour, and then your energy is going to wane because your body's accustomed to, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I'm about to go home.
Yeah.
Right? So understand there's like 3 peaks in a day, 3 to 4 peaks in a day where your energy is really high. That's when you should be the most productive, right? When it goes down, then, you take a break. You take those little breaks and you take walks. Or you go up the stairs and come down. Go up the stairs, then come down. You're not necessarily doing it to be fit and have big muscles, but you're regulating your body and you're regulating your nervous system. So understand those 3 things: how to regulate your nervous system, how to activate your vagus nerve, how your diet, that's very important, and breathing. You know what I mean? Diet and hydration, very, very important, and breathing as well. Wim Hof is going to, he's got a free master class, and it's going to help you at least understand how to get your blood running properly, how to get your brain super active, and how to get, the happy chemicals in your brain. Like, they start running. Yeah.
Nkuli, would you like to extend on that?
Yes, you spoke about someone who is bipolar. What I wanted to say is that once you start taking medication, and this is the misconception that we have, where we start taking medication and then we leave therapy. You can't take medication without the therapy. That needs to go hand in hand. And sometimes I think because maybe I took medication the first few weeks and it seemed to be working, therefore I'm fine. But we need to be working with that hand in hand to understand what is happening, and also to go for checkups to understand that this medication, because remember, in the first 6 weeks the medication is going through a different strain or cycle. Therefore you need to keep on going back to actually check and see how that works. And also see, in terms of the exercise, it's important to exercise, but also when someone's saying, I sleep a lot, and what I normally say is that keep a diary or journal to actually write down your thoughts, write down how I'm feeling.
Yes.
And then once you wrote those down, to actually, maybe even if a day or 2 or something, go back and read them aloud. Because that tells, then when I'm reading, was I even rational when I was writing that? Doesn't even make sense. Because if I go back, then I'm able to actually say and read out aloud to yourself, which is why when we were starting the program, to actually say time to be with the self, it's important, because then I can't expect Usipo to have more time for me if I don't have more time
for yourself. So reflection is as important.
Yes.
And presence within yourself.
Okay, so unfortunately we have to wrap up our conversation. It's really been very enlightful and educational for me. But I'm going to let you guys close with any extra information that you'd like our viewers to know. We'll start with you, Nkuli, and then finish off with Hakeem.
Cool. What I'd like to know is that mental health matters. If you're going through something inside, don't take it as if you are a strong person. And should you want to contact Nkuli via Kwelanga Consulting, then you can always go on my page at Nkuli Tleane to do that, to consult with me. So I see people online and face to face, and I do workshops as well for different companies or personal or people in general. So what you're feeling, don't invalidate yourself. Validate yourself. It's important. Yes.
Yeah. Just to add to that, you need to be very aware of what's happening inside yourself, inside your heart, inside your mind, inside your body, and because whatever it is that's happening inside is going to reflect outside. So once you see that the outside isn't really what I want it to be, then you go back again and you start checking, okay, what kind of thoughts am I thinking? What feelings am I feeling? What kind of choices am I making? What kind of actions am I taking, right? Just that cycle alone is going to really let you know what's wrong, where it's wrong, how it's wrong, and why it's wrong, as well, or why it's right too, right? For anyone who's looking to book sessions with us, you can go to the website batobatu.com. We have all the packages there. If you want to book directly, the links in my bio at Hakeem Anderson, ANDRSN, Hakeem Anderson on all my social media. The links in my bio will take you to how you can book the sessions. We can do a discovery call. Do the discovery call. Like, just find out 15 minutes of your time in the morning. I'll make the call. You'll make the call. We'll call each other.
Is the call free? Because also at time.
Free. The call is free.
Okay.
I'll make the call. It's a video call. It's a video call. So we do 15
I'm
minutes
for the
of
people.
discovery.
I'm sorry. I have to ask that.
Definitely for the people. definitely for the people.
Yeah.
15 minutes, that's free. We tell you about the packages. You tell me what's going on. We tell you about the packages. We'll send you a client intake form, send you the quotes over when you're ready, and only when you're ready, because that's work that has to be done, right?
Yes.
So you have to be ready and amped up for the work, and just to see if there's camaraderie and chemistry between you and the therapist. And then we'll take it from there, but bet on yourself all the time.
Alternatively, you guys can obviously visit websites like sedec.org for more information on anxiety and mental health, just in general. And they did make their pages available, so do check them out. Hakeem Anderson and Nkuli Tleane.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us. And also shout out to Timera Ramlal, who also was part of our conversation. Unfortunately, it's time for us to love you and leave you, but we will catch you again, not us exactly, but you can catch the talk again next week, Tuesday at 2 p.m.
Ciao.
Hi, my name is Jackie Pamotse, and you're watching The Talk on Palm TV.
Palm TV, your #1 social media TV network. Palm TV, your #1 social media TV network.